At -40 degrees, the air itself becomes a weapon. If you expose your skin for just 5 minutes, the fluid in your cells begins to crystallize. Frostbite sets in. But that's not what kills you. What kills you is the silence. Your body stops shivering as it enters the final stage of hypothermia. Your brain starts to shut down. You feel a strange wave of heat, a desire to sleep, and once you close your eyes, you never open them again. For most of us, this is a nightmare scenario we might face once in a lifetime during a grid-down disaster. But for over 500,000 homeless people in America, this isn't a nightmare, it's Tuesday. Every winter, when the shelters are full and the power grid strains, thousands of people are forced to sleep on concrete slabs in Arctic conditions. They don't have North Face jackets, they don't have heated tents, and they certainly don't have electricity. Yet they survive. How? They rely on a set of street physics, brutal, ingenious, $0 hacks passed down from one survivor to another. These aren't just tips, they are the difference between waking up and freezing to death. Today, we are decoding the survival engineering of the homeless. We're going to show you exactly how they harvest heat from nothing, turn trash into insulation, and survive the nights that would kill a prepared survivalist. Pay attention, because one day these hacks might just save your life. Let's start with the most fundamental rule of thermodynamics. Cold does not enter your body, heat leaves it. Your body is a 98-degree radiator constantly pumping energy into the universe. To survive, you don't need to generate more heat, you just need to catch what you're already losing. The biggest myth is that you need thick, heavy wool coats to stay warm. You don't. You need trapped air. Expensive down jackets work because the feathers trap millions of tiny pockets of air. Air is a terrible conductor of heat, which makes it an amazing insulator. On the street, they don't have feathers, they have the news, newspapers. But here's the 200 IQ trick that most people get wrong. You don't just line your coat with flat sheets. That does almost nothing. You have to crumple it. Veteran street survivors know that a layer of crumpled newspaper creates a chaotic matrix of air pockets, mimicking the structure of high-end fiberglass insulation found in your walls. One survivor in Detroit showed me his technique. He doesn't just stuff his jacket, he stuffs his pant legs until they look like Michelin Man tires. He stuffs his sleeves. But the most critical part, the neck. Your body creates a chimney effect. Heat rises. If your collar is loose, all that warm air you generated pumps right out into the night sky. The extreme survival method involves using a plastic bag loosely filled with crumpled paper to create a collar, strictly ensuring it is never tied tight or obstructing airways. Sealing the chimney. Paper also has a secondary survival function, wicking. It absorbs the humidity from your body. In the survival world, moisture is death. If you sweat, you die. Paper pulls that moisture away from your skin, keeping your core dry and your heat trapped. It looks like trash, but functionally, it outperforms a $50 blanket. So you have insulated your body. Now you need to insulate your environment. But here is where 90% of people fail. They worry about the air temperature, but they ignore the ground. This brings us to the silent killer. Conduction. Concrete is a thermal vampire. It has infinite mass compared to your body. If you lie directly on a sidewalk at freezing temperatures, the concrete will suck the heat out of your organs faster than the wind will. You can be wrapped in 10 blankets, but if your spine is touching the pavement, your core temperature will plummet. This is why cardboard is the gold standard of street architecture. It's not just about comfort, it's engineering. Corrugated cardboard consists of fluted sheets sandwiched between liners. Those flutes? That's trapped air again. The cardboard sandwich rule states you need at least 3 inches of separation between you and the ground to break the conductive bridge. But what if it's snowing? What if a blizzard buries your makeshift shelter? An amateur would try to brush the snow off. A master survivor leaves it. This seems counterintuitive. Snow is cold, right? Actually, snow is composed of 90 to 95% trapped air. It is one of nature's best insulators. This is the exact physics behind the Inuit igloo. A layer of snow on top of a cardboard box or a tarp creates a thermal barrier that locks heat inside. In a 40-degree blizzard, the inside of a snow-covered shelter, heated only by body warmth, can hover around 32 degrees. That is a 70-degree difference. That is the difference between shivering through the night and freezing solid. Now we need to address the extremities, fingers and toes. These are the first things your body sacrifices to keep your heart and brain alive. When your body detects a drop in core temperature, it constricts blood vessels in your feet. Less blood flow means less heat. And then comes the moisture. There is a saying on the streets, "Cotton kills." Cotton is hydrophilic. It loves water. If your cotton socks get wet, either from snow melting into your shoe or from your own sweat, they lose 100% of their insulating ability. Worse, wet cotton sucks heat away from the body 25 times faster than air. This leads to trench foot and frostbite. So how do homeless people keep their feet dry when they have holes in their shoes? They use a technique mountaineers call a vapor barrier liner, or VBL, but on the street they call it the bread bag trick. Here is the sequence. Layer 1, a thin synthetic sock to wick moisture. Layer 2, a plastic grocery bag. This is the barrier. Layer 3, a thick wool or cotton sock on the outside. Here is the physics. The plastic bag stops outside water from getting in, yes, but more importantly, it stops your sweat from evaporating into the outer sock. Evaporation is a cooling process. You don't want cooling. By trapping the vapor close to your skin, you stop evaporative heat loss. Yes, your feet will feel clammy. They will stay wet with sweat. But, and this is critical, they will stay warm, wet. In a survival situation, warm and wet is uncomfortable. Cold and wet is amputation. In a grid-down scenario, this 5-cent plastic bag serves as a desperate measure to prevent frostbite when modern gear fails. We have covered insulation and shelter. Now let's talk about heat generation. You might think the best move is to build a fire, but in an urban survival scenario, fire is a trap. In an urban survival scenario, large fires are inefficient and can be hazardous due to wind or structural risks. Or the wind, which can blow your shelter away. Homeless survivors use micro-heaters. A single candle lit inside a metal can and placed inside a cardboard box can raise the temperature by 10 to 15 degrees. But this comes with a deadly risk: carbon monoxide, the silent killer. If you seal your shelter too tight to keep the heat in, the candle will consume all the oxygen. You go to sleep warm and you never wake up. Ventilation is a discipline, but there is a safer, albeit grosser, way to generate heat: the human hot water bottle. When you have to urinate in the middle of a blizzard, leaving your shelter means losing all your trapped heat. It's a tactical error. Instead, survivors urinate into a plastic bottle and seal it tight. Fresh urine leaves the body at roughly 98 degrees. That bottle is now a radiator. Instead of throwing it out immediately, they put the bottle at the bottom of their sleeping bag, near their feet or femoral arteries. It acts as a temporary heater, releasing that thermal energy back into the microclimate of the bedding for an hour or so. It sounds repulsive to civilized society, but when it is 40 below zero, dignity is the first thing you burn for warmth. Finally, we have to talk about the engine. None of these hacks work if your body stops producing heat. You are the furnace, but a furnace needs fuel. Shivering is an involuntary muscle spasm designed to generate heat. It is incredibly calorie intensive. If you run out of glycogen, you stop shivering. That is the beginning of the end. Survival on the street isn't about balanced nutrition. It's about pure caloric density. Before sleeping in a blizzard, veteran survivors try to consume pure fat, sticks of butter, jars of peanut butter. Digesting fat generates heat through a process called dietary-induced thermogenesis. It's a slow-burning log for your internal fire that keeps you warm through the long night. But there is one thing even more important than food: water. Winter dehydration is a major problem. The air is dry and you lose moisture just by breathing. Here's the science. Water has a high specific heat capacity. It holds thermal energy. A hydrated body retains heat much better than a dehydrated one. If your blood gets thick from dehydration, circulation slows and your extremities freeze faster. Homeless survivors know that eating snow to hydrate is a rookie mistake. Eating snow lowers your core temperature dangerously. You have to melt it first, using body heat or that candle we talked about.
We've broken down the physics, the newspaper, the cardboard, the plastic bags, the biology. But the scariest part of freezing to death isn't the pain, it's the madness. There is a phenomenon known as paradoxical undressing. In the final stages of severe hypothermia, as the person is dying, the muscles that constrict blood vessels become exhausted and fail. Suddenly, warm blood from the core rushes to the frozen skin. The person who is actually freezing to death feels an intense, burning hot flash. They feel like they are burning up. Police often find victims of hypothermia half naked in the snow, their clothes neatly folded beside them. They stripped off their layers in their final moments because they thought they were too hot. This is the mental battle, staying rational when your brain is shutting down. I spoke to a man named David who survived 3 winters on the streets of Minneapolis. He told me that at minus 40 degrees, the hardest thing to fight is the urge to just give up. The cold stops hurting after a while. It starts to feel comfortable. Survival is 10% skills and 90% psychology. It's the refusal to close your eyes. It's the hope of a hot coffee in the morning. These hacks, the newspaper insulation, the cardboard sandwich, the vapor barrier, they are genius, yes. They are a testament to human adaptability. But they are also a tragedy. It is a tragedy that in the modern world, human beings have to master the physics of trash just to see the sunrise. Next time you pass someone on the street this winter, remember, they are fighting a battle for survival that most of us couldn't last one night in. They are the ultimate survivalists, not by choice, but by necessity. If you learned something new from these survival tactics, hit that subscribe button. It helps us document more of these hidden worlds and share this vital knowledge. And if you want to know what happens when you try to live like this for 24 hours yourself, when you actually feel that cold bite into your bones, click this video right here. It was the hardest day of my life, and it changed everything I thought I knew about survival. Stay warm. I'll see you in the next one.